Every human civilization is simply a poorly documented codebase, waiting for a fatal exception, initiating systemic failure report. If you read standard history books, you are taught that the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD because of moral decay, political corruption, and massive barbarian invasions. This is the historical equivalent of blaming a website crash on the users. The truth is far more structural. Rome was not conquered. Rome crashed. It was the victim of the largest, most catastrophic accumulation of technical debt in human history. To understand the collapse of the Roman hardware, we must first look at how they scaled their infrastructure. At its height in 117 AD, the Roman Empire was the ultimate monolithic application. They had scaled to serve over 50 million active users across 3 continents. How did they manage this load? Through brutal, physical hardcoding. The Roman roads and the aqueduct systems were their hard-coded APIs. They were incredible feats of engineering, designed to move military data in this case. Legions in wheat from the center to the edge nodes as fast as possible. But here is the fatal flaw of hard-coding your infrastructure in stone and lead. It is absolutely impossible to restore. The maintenance cost, the caloric and financial bandwidth required just to keep the servers running grows exponentially. When you build a system this massive, by the 2nd century, Rome was spending the vast majority of its GDP not on innovation, but on maintaining legacy code. They had built an empire that was too expensive to run, but too critical to turn off. The system administrators of the emperors were trapped. As the Roman monolith became too expensive to maintain natively, the emperors deployed the exact same catastrophic strategy used by failing modern tech startups. They relied on outsourced, third-party dependencies. During the crisis of the 3rd century, the computational load of defending the borders exceeded Rome's native processing power. They didn't have enough citizens willing to join the legions, so they outsourced their back-end security to the Proto-Germanic barbarian tribes. Rome hired the very people they were supposed to be defending against to run their perimeter security. This is the equivalent of a modern bank firing its internal cybersecurity team and hiring a known collective of ransomware hackers on a freelance retainer, simply because it looks cheaper on the quarterly earnings report. It is a stunning display of systemic arrogance. To pay these outsourced contractors, the emperors began debasing the currency. They reduced the silver content of the denarius to almost zero. This caused hyperinflation. In software terms, the system was experiencing a catastrophic memory leak. The Roman economy was churning through millions of operations, but the underlying value of each transaction was null. The database was entirely corrupted. The administrators knew it. The users knew it. We have reached the fatal exception. The year is 376 AD. The Huns, a highly mobile, unauthenticated user group from the east, begin pushing the Gothic tribes into Roman territory. The Goths arrive at the Danube River, Rome's primary firewall, and request asylum. The Roman administrative API was only designed to handle a slow trickle of immigration. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of refugees are hammering the border checkpoints simultaneously. It was a kinetic, distributed denial of service attack, a physical DDoS. The Roman bandwidth was completely exhausted. Local governors panicked, supply chains seized up, and the refugees, starving and furious, initiated a violent hard reset. In 410 AD, Alaric the Visigotha, former outsourced contractor who realized the parent company was utterly broke, marched into Rome and sacked the city. He did not hack the mainframe. He simply realized that the legacy codebase was so riddled with technical debt, so bloated by hyperinflation, and so reliant on corrupted dependencies, that all he had to do was walk through the front door and pull the plug. The fall of Rome is not a story about barbarians at the gates. It is a cautionary tale about maintaining monolithic architecture for too long. If you want to know why your company's legacy codebase is going to bankrupt you, you do not need to look at modern tech blogs. You need to look at the logistical collapse of the Roman supply chain. So, the next time your project manager asks why you can't just build a quick workaround for a failing legacy system, politely remind them that the Severan dynasty tried that, and it plunged Western Europe into a 1,000-year dark age. Question for the log files. What is the most catastrophic piece of hard-coded technical debt you have ever encountered in your workplace? Document your failures in the comments below. Keep your dependencies local, and I will see you in the next report. Systemic failure, offline.